You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey there, CBS soap opera fans. This is Soap Dirt on YouTube, and we want to dig into whether or not Daniel Romalotti will turn his mom, Phyllis Summers, over to the cops, or at least over to some authority. He's very upset right now, and there's stuff that we've seen in the promo and the spoilers for the next couple of weeks that indicate that Daniel is at his wit's end with this situation, and he has lost patience with both his mother and his younger sister, and he may do something drastic about this soon. If you haven't already, reach down, click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our Young and the Restless spoilers, news, and updates right here on Soap Dirt at YouTube. Okay, let's dig into this. So you may remember that Summer Newman was talking about maybe mom just needs to be able to go off and start a new life someplace else, because Summer recognizes that Phyllis has made a complete hash by faking her death and setting up Diane and everything. So Summer thinking that her mom should just run off and start a new life is kind of a really heinous suggestion, because if Phyllis runs off and does that, then her fake death becomes more real, and then the threat against Diane being sent away for this crime that she didn't do becomes more real. And so when Daniel heard all this, he was very upset, and he has a good reason to worry that his mom might actually do that to try and avoid consequences, first of all, and second of all, to screw over Diane Jenkins, who she hates. Daniel is just very upset, and in scenes coming the first few days of this week, he is going to go off on his sister, because Summer's attitude is, we need to stick by mom on this. We're not going to tell anybody, and he just can't believe it, because what he points out to her is that every time Kyle sees her, he feels this guilt because her mother died. And he's in this quandary because he's very certain that his mom didn't do it, because she didn't, because there wasn't a crime. And at the same time, he feels like she's grieving, and he has all this sympathy for her, and then guilt for still wanting to defend his mother. So Kyle is experiencing, these horrible emotions. He's sickened by his wife's grief. He loves his mother, and it's very complicated for him. Summer knows that he is in a lot of emotional turmoil. Daniel knows that her husband is in a lot of emotional turmoil, but what he sees is that his sister completely lacks any empathy for her husband, because their mother has gaslit or brainwashed or, Jedi mind tricked his sister into believing Phyllis's skewed rationalization for what she's done. Basically, her attitude is, well, Diane faked her death all those years ago. Now, mind you, none of them went to prison for it. So this situation is now above and beyond what happened way back in the day when Diane faked her death. And it's so far beyond it. And so he can't believe that Summer is leaving Kyle in anguish to side with a woman who had intended to run out of their lives forever and leave them grieving. He's still mad about that. Summer should still be mad about that, but she was just so happy to see her mom alive, she let it slide. But Daniel has at least now, the Daniel we have presently, not necessarily Daniel and his whole character arc on Young and the Restless, but the Daniel we have presently has a pretty good moral compass. And, there's some issues in his past he's alluded to, and, the reasons he and Heather didn't last, but his moral compass is pretty good. Summer's moral compass is not so good. It's pretty broken. Do you remember how she got Kyle to marry her? Not this time, but the time before. She was a kidney match to his girlfriend at the time, and she basically held her kidney hostage for him to marry her. And of course, it worked out that they didn't stay married because he went back to the other woman and and then they circled back around to each other. But her moral compass is broken because she swapped marriage for a kidney. And she is a lot like her mother in a lot of ways. And Daniel can see that about his sister. And when he confronts Summer, She looks ashamed of herself. You can see it in the latest promo. We've got a Young and the Restless promo video if you go over to our Y and R playlist right here on YouTube. And you can see the promo and see the look on her face. She just looks very ashamed of herself, but at the same time, not so ashamed of herself that she is going to listen to her big brother and correct her behavior. In fact, she doubles down on her bad behavior. She has now, in a way, do you ever know anybody that tells a lie so often that in their mind it becomes the truth, like a self-gaslighting? That's kind of what it feels like Summer has done here, because she has listened to her mother's lie, and then she has repeated her lie to herself so much. And the lie is that Diane deserves this. Diane did the same thing years ago. So really, Diane actually is guilty because she tried to send me and other people to prison. She deserves this. She deserves this. She's hearing Phyllis's deranged, obsessed voice in her head and is treating it like it's gospel. Daniel just cannot believe the depths that his mom has gone to and that she has now pulled his sister down there. So Summer keeps acting badly towards Diane, treating her as if she's certain that she did this. Of course, at the same time, it might be suspicious if Summer just suddenly said, "Oh, I don't think Diane really did." No, but she's doubling down, and then she's tripling down by tormenting Diane, which torments Kyle. And then there's a spoiler for the next couple of weeks that says Jack gets a cryptic message. So we're wondering, here at Soap Dirt, we talked about it in our writer's room. We're wondering if this cryptic message might be from Daniel. Will it be Daniel dropping some clues about this death plot not being what it seems to be? Okay. Or there's a couple of other routes that Daniel could go. He could go to Michael Baldwin, because there's another spoiler for the next couple of weeks that says that Michael Baldwin gets some promising new information for Diane's defense. So he could reach out to him, because already Michael thinks that Stark is the problem here, not Diane. And so he might be really open to the idea of this plot. Plus, he perfectly well knows that Phyllis is capable of doing this. So he's a good one to talk to. Then again, Daniel could bypass Jack. Maybe that message isn't from him. He could bypass Michael. Maybe the good news Michael gets about the defense isn't from Daniel. And Daniel could just go straight to Chance and just tell him, look, the reason that this thing seems so fishy is because my mom cooked this plot up with Stark, and she's not really dead. Now, he doesn't have to tell the cops the part about Phyllis stabbing Jeremy Stark. He can just simply tell the cop, my mom's not dead. My sister has seen her. Diane shouldn't be in jail. Because that's the bottom line. If we have got corroborating, credible witnesses that Phyllis isn't dead, even if they can't find her, they could drop the charges against Diane, at least until an actual body turns up, and, they can retest everything. They can test those corpses against somebody else's DNA, like Summer's DNA, and not how they cobbled the test results together. There's a lot of ways this can go, but Daniel is running out of patience, and I'm really wondering if he's not going to be the one to bring this whole plot crashing down around Phyllis's ears, because she's had more than enough time to do the right thing, and she's chosen to double down on the wrong thing and then embroil Summer in her sins. If you haven't already, reach down, click that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our Young and the Restless spoilers, news, theories, casting updates, everything you need to know for Y&R on CBS. And don't miss it, because there's a lot of action on this storyline as we dig deeper into May sweeps.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast, because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.